an information desk. If you need any information from the planning committee, please let's also talk to them. So we also have other housekeeping rules. We have two side entrances to my left and to the right, and a main entrance in front of us to my right. Then we have a major entrance to our back. Should we have any emergency or any fire, we would always muster to the opposite side of the hall as well. You're welcome this morning. If day one was setting the stage for identifying the tectonic shift in our legal discussions as we refer to commerce and trade, we had discussions on how our relationships in terms of cross-border transactions were discussed. In those same sessions, we also discussed the incentives that accrue to businessmen as it relates to our free trade zone entities in terms of the new national tax laws that have coming into effect from January this year. Following that, we went into discussions on taxation, which is a really burning issue in our affairs today. But what we drew from it yesterday was the fact that it is important that we as lawyers are at the forefront of taxation. If we look at the entire discussion on taxation, taxation is about law, policy, and enforcement. And who else is at the forefront of law, policy, and enforcement, if not lawyers in that spur? We went further to also listen to very interesting keynote speeches that were delivered in terms of, one, how we can trade in this region, what kind of economy we can develop in this region, and also a very interesting one from Justice Jimba, who stated in his paper that the law courts are not just institutions for dispute resolution, but they also set the pace through their decisions for commercial transactions. So it was a key takeaway from that discussion. So what that paragraph actually said was that the law courts are actually not just dispute resolution institutions, but they actually set the pace for commercial transactions. So we also need to understand that as lawyers, regardless of what we do as litigation lawyers, we also need to come into the sphere of the commercial transactions. So coming into today, we'll be discussing agri-finance. We would want to see how we can tap into the vast lands and develop the North as it is in these discussions. So we will be looking at the challenges that are affecting finance. We would also be listening from businessmen. We have very big agri-businessmen like Alhaji Ismaila Megoro, who is here. Thank you, sir, for honoring us and coming on to this. We have people from the regulators, the Bank of Agriculture, that are also here. We also have online the ED from Standard Chartered. I think he had a flight challenge yesterday, so he couldn't make it. But moving from that also, it's also the ghost in the room that we keep talking about in Nigeria. We will go to the energy session. The energy session would be very, very interesting. We have a number of very interesting people. So we have somebody from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission who is here present. We also have somebody very, very interesting. I won't say much about him. He has been involved in building a lot of the major energy supply infrastructure that we see that will soon come into operation very soon. We also have somebody from the academia. So we have chosen our panelists very carefully so that we can get a robust discussion around this. But without taking further of your time, I would like to call on the session manager to start this session as we go. Najib, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
my Lord, Leonard Silks, and colleagues in the law, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and all other VIPs present here, a very good morning to you all. I seek your permission to stand on the already established protocol. And to be honest, when you hear of agriculture finance, many will think of subsidy and not security. But here is the truth. Millions of naira are stuck, and lawyers need to do whatever they need to do in order to ensure that these monies are being circulated and being beneficial to agriculture in Nigeria, and in northern Nigeria especially. The primary reason for this problem is that we have outdated, uncoordinated, and sometimes on the players in agriculture are not aware of the legal frameworks and institutional frameworks. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Najib Hamisu. I'm the manager of this session, and the title of this session this morning is Agriculture Finance: Assessing the Legal and Institutional Frameworks Supporting Sustainable Agriculture, Sustainable Agricultural Finance and Investment in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to bring forward our distinguished panelists and moderator who will assist us in dissecting, challenging, and also rebuilding the architecture of agricultural finance in the northern Nigeria. Our first discussant is a legal scholar at the Center for Islamic Studies, ABU Zaria, with a PhD from University Utara, Malaysia, focused on Nigerian Takaful regulatory framework. But her expertise extends beyond Islamic finance. She has published extensively on conventional insurance law, Sharia compliance, corporate governance, and comparative financial regulation. For lawyers advising agribusinesses, they are here. Her insight on risk mitigation, agricultural finance, and non-interest financing alternatives are indispensable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Mariam Diko, lecturer at Center for Islamic Legal Studies, ABU Zaria. The second discussant is not a lawyer, and that's exactly why we need to listen carefully. A businessman who, with his vast knowledge and experience in agriculture, is here, and he is going to discuss with us how borrowing and agricultural finance in general works in Nigeria. Please, let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Samaila Barau Meigoro. Our third discussant is an influential international agro-commodity strategist. Please welcome to stage Dr. Jamilu Muhammad Goma, CEO of JM Goma International Limited. Then our fourth discussant, who is representing the MD of Bank of Agriculture, is a lawyer, a secretary, and legal advisor of Bank of Agriculture, in person of Mr. Cole Efosa Washington. Please welcome Mr. Cole Efosa Washington to the stage. Now, the man who will take over here will interrogate these distinguished panelists and ensure that we leave here with actionable insight rather than abstract argument. is joining us virtually via Zoom from his desk at Standard Chartered Bank. But let me add, his questions, being the moderator, his questions will hit just as hard as if he were standing here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome our able moderator, Mr. Tasu Boswa. Mr. Boswa, I think you can hear us. Can you please indicate?
Thank you. While we're tidying that up, please, we've been requested to please move forward. For picture and video aesthetics, it's nice that we're seated together. So if I may ask, please, let's occupy the first few rows, first 4 rows, and we can all huddle together in this row, this first 2 rows here, please. It's necessary for the aesthetics of the pictures. Maybe we could take the first row on the other side as well. Thank you very much.
Our able moderator, I think you can hear us. Okay. Mr. Boswa,
very high to our farmers. And that is the area that we must actually address. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we have our moderator back. Mr. Bossa, can you hear us? Yes, here Dr. Dicko took us through the legal and institutional frameworks, and we also have Dr. Jamil. We also have Mr. Washington that has also discussed about the fragmentation that there are in the federal and state laws. I think that is where we stop. Mr. Moderator, considering the fact that we are having some technical glitch, we will also be asking you, since you have vast experience being the MD at Chartered Bank, we'll be asking you some questions later on. Please just hold on. So I would like to ask Dr. Jamilu, in your opinion, Dr. Jamilu, what institutional weaknesses currently limit the ability of farmers, agricultural exporters, and businesses to secure low interest, long-term agricultural finances? And what are the possible solutions?
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You know, over a period of years, our farmers unable to secure the loan because of some certain procedure and guide, and the process attached to the getting a loan or facility by a farmer. If you look at it, most of our farmers, they are lacking of knowledge on how to get a loan from the government, number one. And number two, issue of entitlement means CFO and other related documents that they will present to the bank to have a loan. And number four, absent of completely government realistic in terms of issuing the fund itself to the right people. For example, so many farmers are engaging into activities of farming, but at the end of the day, when it comes to a loan in Bank of Agri or Bank of Industry or Nexim Bank, you find out that the condition attached to it, it will be very, very difficult among 100% for 20% to meet up with that condition. That will bring a lot of problems and even degraded the system itself and even for our farmer to access the loan. So my suggestion and solution to is the government should consider in completely removing a title of CFO or a land title in exchange for the loan. Then let the government find a solution, a best way of issuing funds to a farmers without CFO. Insurance can intervene. And at the same time, the government should also issue a policy that is realistic, not theory. Most of the policy of government in terms of taxation, incentive, and so many other processes is not realistic. It's theory. When this government are pursuing the policy, another government it changed completely. For example, the past government of General Muhammadu Buhari, may his soul rest in peace, he focused on agriculture, how to support farmers by creating different programs for the country to stand on its own so that we could becoming self-sufficient in terms of food, even export to the world, which he achieved almost 75% of it. Then the present government today, what are we talking about? The cost of fertilizer today is even higher than the cost of a bag of maize. Is it encouragement or discouraging the policy? So the government always should come with the policy guide that is realistic for the benefit of the farmers, businessmen, and exporters. Thank you very much.
Mr. Washington, I am sure you have a rebuttal to what Dr. Jamilu just said. So I know he has said something about your Bank of Agriculture having a very rigid procedure, and also issue of having CFO as the only security for granting all those facilities. So beyond these physical land titles, what legal provision exists in Nigeria that allow farmers to use movable assets like machineries or livestock as credit security?
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I want to say that CFO is not just the only security for loans. Actually, loans are in different categories. There are loans that we give on personal guarantees. In fact, we have loans that we give on your own security of salary, that you can probably look for a civil servant. Of course, we are aware that it is only agriculture that in law that is anybody can do, even civil servant can go into agriculture. So there are actually other ways of securing loan. In fact, the shift is moving from the CFO that we are talking about to bank guarantee. But even at that, just like he said, I agree to some extent, just like he said, the conditions sometimes are not the real farmers, the real local farmers are not able to meet those conditions because, first of all, most of their lands are not registered. So even the unregistered land or registered farm can be used. We have the National Collateral Registry that can register those property for to assess our loans. We also have the machineries, the movable machineries. Actually, what the banks are saying is that those machineries could also depreciate. They could also depreciate and may not be able to meet up the repayment of that loan. You know, in the whole essence of agricultural financing, specifically now by Bank of Agriculture, we are not looking at profitability. We are looking at delivering services to Nigerians. And to that extent, all we actually need, the first security for our delivery is the KYC. Knowing your customer very well and trusting your customer to ensure repayment and doing what is supposed to. If we can trust our customers, our clients, to actually take that money to that farmland, employ, because employment is also one of the value chain of that delivery. Employ who is supposed to employ and ensure that whatever produce is made from the farm is used to pay back the loan and also advance the farm. All of these security issues, they are all secondary. They are all secondary. So we look at the structure of the loan and look at also there are the issues of guarantee from others, guarantor from others. Even state guarantees are there. We expect state governments to bond up their farmers together and give them a standing order or give a guarantee to the bank so that an on-lending can be given to the state that can spread through the farmers. So generally, there are other ways of securing our loan other than the C of O. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go to Alhaji Samaila Baramigoro. Please, sir, sustainable agricultural practices such as agroforestry, organic farming, these practices often require higher upfront costs. So what legal incentives will make financing such projects commercially attractive to private investors?
First of all, let's understand what sustainable agricultural practice entails. By simple definition, is those practices in agriculture that preserve the land, the soil, minimize the use of water, and improve the organic matter of the soil so that over a given period of time, like 20 years, the soil and the environment is not devalued. These are practices that are not economical for farmers, but they are sustainable in the way that the future will utilize the farm or the environment or the agri process. For that kind of practice to be, as he mentioned, we have like practices like conservation, practices like agroforestry, practices like organic farming. These are methods and ways of preserving the land and preserving the environment where it's profitable to the farmer, it's also useful to the people, and it's not harmful to the planet. For you to achieve that in the agricultural sector, definitely it's a long-term project, and the cost implication of it is high. And definitely every farmer or a businessman is there to make profit. And for the commercial banks to loan on such kind of project is going to be very difficult. So definitely there must be legal frameworks or institutional framework to support the farmer or to support whosoever want to promote sustainable agricultural practice. And one of the areas that requires government intervention is the area of cost. Definitely, government has to make provision for a dedicated fund to support people that are ready to go into sustainable agricultural practice. And that should be a single-digit fund, and that should be dedicated to support CAPEX in that area for farmers that want to go into that kind of practice. And apart from that, there should be incentives, especially tax incentives. This government in the 2025 tax reform has made adequate provision for such things, but I think the major challenge is the implementation. Most of the times we make a budget presentation, we make reforms, but when it comes to implementation, corruption and other things will now key in, and it's going to be very difficult to implement. And also the awareness by the side of the farmers and other things is very low. So the government need to improve in terms of raising awareness of the farmers to understand even what do we mean by this. Then another way that government can help in improving or supporting or making provision in terms of incentives to the sustainable agricultural practice is in terms of this newly introduced carbon credit. Carbon credit is a way that the farmer always try to improve the organic matter on the land, and that can only be done when there's proper measurement, recording, and reporting. And that cannot be done without involving costs. And you can only do that if there is a government support or subsidization in terms of subsidizing the cost. And if that is not done, definitely it will be very difficult for a farmer at his own level, especially the smallholder farmers that we have. So government need to come in terms of tax incentives, in terms of dedicated funds to support such projects, because ultimately the environment is what is protected, and ultimately everybody will eat, and we look forward to the next 20 years. Instead of taking the land backward, it should be improved, and that can be done only with a deliberate